a rock star. So I always wanted like just a one-word name rather than my given name, which was Joe. I didn't like that. I didn't think it had rock star potential. I wanted something, well, other gender were like Cher or Sting or Bono, where you just say that one word and everybody knows who it is. In basketball, it's Jordan or Chamberlain. People know you probably know. But anyway, so that's what I was always desiring. I didn't want to be called Joe. So when I was about to be initiated by Srila Prabhupada, I thought, finally, I'm going to get this name that really says who I am. And just saying it conjures up images of this guy. So I was really excited. So sitting before Srila Prabhupada, when he said to me, he looked me in my eyes, and he said, "Your name is Jivnath." And inside, I was having a party. I was going, woo, yeah, I really got a good name. I love my name. And I was dancing inside, and I'm really getting into it. And Prabhupada just kept looking into my eyes, and he went, "Das." I thought, okay, wake up. You may have that name, but that's really not who you are. You are Jivnath Das, the servant of the guy with all the cool names. So that was a real wake-up call. Now, in Krishna, you know what? The verse actually has a lot to do with what I'm going to say, so I'll do the verse just to be politically correct. So I will chant now, but I just really wanted to tell that story, but that story always leads to some other story. But today, I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to do a Bhagavatam class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. And so often before a speaker will give Srimad Bhagavatam class, he will say a couple prayers. And the two most prominent prayers are Om Jnana Timirandasya Vinandana Shalavaya Chakshurumuritamvena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. This is a very important verse because it's saying, I was born in darkness and my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. And the second one is Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Bhagavamayam Dadati Svavam. We're praying to Lord Chaitanya. Why do we pray these two verses? Well, I'll tell you a story. Back in 1969, Srila Prabhupada was served by a husband and wife couple named Govinda Dasi, and why am I going with that? Gaura Sundar, got it, was her husband. Gaura Sundar was a very, very scholarly person. He was very expert in learning, so he was learning Sanskrit, and Prabhupada would use his abilities in his translation work. Now his wife, Govinda Dasi, she was different. She had a relationship with Srila Prabhupada that was very unique. She actually used to treat Srila Prabhupada like her son, which is different because most of us were just in awe and reverence and just, wow, Srila Prabhupada. But Govinda Dasi would actually speak to Prabhupada like he was a little boy. Make sure you put your socks on because it's going to be cold out there. I mean, who could do that? Speak to your guru, a pure devotee of God, and you're telling them, make sure you put your socks on. Put your chudder on today, because you always get cold out there, and then you say, where's my chudder? So just bring it with you. So that's how she would speak to Srila Prabhupada. She had a very personal relationship that nobody else, no other disciple actually had this kind of a relationship. So Srila Prabhupada was getting Gaura Sundar to help with the Sanskrit. And he asked Govinda to help transcribing it, putting it onto paper by typing. And Govinda said, but Prabhupada, I'm not very good at that. I think you should get somebody else to do this. So there's a direct instruction from the guru. And the disciple says, I don't think it's a good idea. Srila Prabhupada says, I want you to be the typist. I want you to do this. And again, she says, I'm not that good at this. There are others who can do this a lot better. I think you should ask them. And Prabhupada just kind of looked at her and went, Govinda, I am asking you to do this. He says, but I will make it easy for you. I will make it easier for you. He said, whenever you are given a task or a service that you feel unqualified to do, he says there are two prayers that you will say to beg Krishna, to beg Lord Chaitanya to assist you in the service. And he gave her those two prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya and Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam. So when we sit up here and we say those prayers, me personally, I meditate on that interaction that Srila Prabhupada had with his disciple Govinda Dasi. Because I always think, come on, really? I'm sitting here in front of you who were born in India, you who know Vedic culture, and here I am, a Malacha from the West, about to give a Srimad Bhagavatam class. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, I have to do this. I mean, this is so... I actually stopped giving Bhagavatam classes. Because I always tend to waffle anyway, so I just sort of talk. And I go, oh yeah, right, the shloka. Today, I'm going to do it. So now we are reading from the third canto of chapter 29, and this is text number 19. And this verse is a particular follow-up to the previous shloka. So since we don't actually have it on the board, there's no way that we will know the shloka to repeat it, and maybe you can try. I'll say the shloka. Madharmano Ganer Etai Parisham Sudha Ashaya Purushasyan Jasya Vyeti Shrutamatra Gunam Himam. So I'll get to the translation. When one is fully qualified with all these transcendental attributes, and his consciousness is thus completely purified, he is immediately attracted simply by hearing my name or hearing of my transcendental quality. Purport by His divine grace. In the beginning of this instruction, the Lord explained to his mother the Madguna Shruti Matrena simply by hearing of the name, quality, form, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One is immediately attracted. A person becomes fully qualified with all transcendental qualities by following the rules and regulations as recommended in different scriptures. We have developed certain unnecessary qualities by material association, and by following the above process, we become free from that contamination. To develop transcendental qualities, as explained in the previous verse, one must become free from these contaminated qualities. Okay. I guess this is where pray, please. Bless me that I can say something that makes sense, and something practical, and something that when you walk away, you will actually remember. I'm always inspired when somebody will say, I remember when you said, I'm like, really, you remember that? And that's great. I'm such a bad person. I always just want to tell stories. Let me tell you something. Janani Bas, Prabhu. Everybody knows Janani Bas, right? You've never, he's in Maya. He's been the Pujari in Mayapur for like 52 years. Yeah, his brother used to be with us and he left. But Janani Bas is a saint. He's a saint. He is, like we were talking about yesterday, Jayananda, a service fanatic. I just want to serve. I just want to serve. So Janani Bas is like that. He's been a Pujari in Mayapur from the very beginning. Back when it was super duper austere. But Janani Bas stayed to serving Radha Madhava, and that's been his life. So he had his birthday the other day, last week. And I always like to, I have a different relationship with Janani Bas. Because in Mayapur, when he walks through the campus or goes anywhere, everyone's pranaming, gandavats, and just so in awe and reverence of this saint that walks among us. I'm not like that. I grab him, I pick him up in the air, I swing him around, and I'm his friend. And it's a different thing. I can get away with that because he's my god brother. Other people watch and just smile because it's just the way we are. Well, it's not really the way he is, but it's the way I am. So I'm trying to show him a different side that he can explore his personality because he needs that. So on his birthday, I spoke, and it just so happened there was probably 1,000 people in the Pandal for this because Janani Bas is so respected. And there were sannyasis there, and leaders, and GBCs, and very important people. But somehow or other I said, I'm not coming on the stage unless you let me speak. And they said, well, we're only going to have 2 speakers. I said, well, I'm not coming on the stage unless you let me speak. So they said, okay, come on up, we'll let you speak. So I told this story. I said, when I first got to Mayapur, I was intimidated to give a class. So I was preparing, studying, and I gave this class, and I told everybody, yes. So I'm thinking, okay, I gotta think something a little different. Because what's the point of saying, amazing philosophy whenever, and I noticed, after classes after that every single class, Janani Bhas would fall asleep. He always came, but he always fell asleep. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take the Janani Bhas challenge. The next class I give, I'm going to keep him awake. The whole class. So I thought, what will keep him awake? I'll some Prabhupada stories. I'll tell some funny Prabhupada stories. So he's smiling. And when I told this on stage, in front of 1,000 worshipers and revered, Janani Bhas, I said, this was what I was doing, just trying to keep him awake. And some of the devotees are like, you can't say that. You can't say that. Why I can say whatever. So I said that. And just as I was making this joke about Janani Bhas started smiling, like he always did when I tell something funny. So he started smiling, and I go, I got him again! Look, I got him again! And everyone applauded, because they could appreciate that it's wonderful to see people smile and enjoy Krishna consciousness, to enjoy each other. Now, today I really wanted to tell you another kind of a story. Now let me just bear with me and I'll get back to the shloka. Because there is no board with it on it, and I like to play with that too. Because Prabhupada really liked when the devotees chanted the shloka. He really liked it. Now, very early on in our Krishna conscious movement, the devotees were not so adept or good at chanting Sanskrit. Some of us are still getting the hang of it. So when Prabhupada chanted the shloka, he called for the Prabhus to chant, and a couple of them, the brave sannyasis that he had an attempt at it. Let's just say the verses something I know, like the one, and they're kind of chanting so low and so, maybe you can hear me, maybe you can't, just in case I get it wrong. So they're all chanting like that, real quiet. And then Prabhupada says, Mataji's. So some of the Mataji's, when you get this opportunity, Mataji's, you gotta take it. You gotta take it with both hands. You can't be quiet about it. So they were a little bit louder. So when all the marriage is finished, Prabhupada says, the women are better. Now, you can imagine, there's like 8 sannyasis, GBCs, temple presidents, and Prabhupada said the women are better? What a burn. The men were just seething inside. How can he say that? We are men, we are better than women. So that night, they read the next shloka. They practiced together. All the sannyasis, the leaders of our movement. Okay, we got it? Okay, we're ready. Okay. Next morning, Prabhupada asks, Prabhus? Okay, we're ready. Sarvam Brikaja, Mamekam Saranam Vaja. And they all chanted like that. Powerful, strong men. And then Prabhupada said, Mataji's. And the Mataji's took the challenge. They were so loud and strong. Prabhupada said, the women are still better. Now that's just for the women. The men are coming. They let us do it. So Prabhupada enjoyed challenging, and he also enjoyed lighting the fire under you. has so many different wonderful qualities. Now we hear often, and this is back to the verse, that we're supposed to be thinking of Krishna all the time, meditating on him, his pastimes, discussing with others, chanting his holy name. We're supposed to be fully, just totally absorbed in Krishna. And that is Krishna consciousness. Now, how do we get to that stage? That is the big question. How do you become Krishna conscious? It's not easy. But Lord Chaitanya, he gives us a few tips. Chorora Pisa Vishnu. Right? He's telling us in that shloka that you must become humble, lower than the strongest tree, more tolerant than the tree. Trinada Pisa Vichina. We got to do these things if we want to chant constantly. If we want to remember Krishna consciousness. We want to be Krishna conscious. So Prabhupada, he actually totally showed us how to be humble. The great leader, the general, the pure devotee was the most humble. How is this possible? I'll tell you a story about Prabhupada's humility. In Sweden, they were having a fire sacrifice, an initiation, and this was the first time in that country that they were going to do this. Now, nobody in Sweden had ever seen a fire sacrifice. Nobody had ever put it together. Nobody had ever done it. So they were totally bewildered when they were about to set up the fire sacrifice for the initiations. So Prabhupada sits down for this fire sacrifice. He looks out. There are no flowers anywhere. None. So he turns to the temple president and says, there are no flowers. There must be flowers for the fire sacrifice. So the devotee, temple president, runs out of the temple, comes back 10 minutes later with a big handful of flowers that he had picked from his neighbor's gardens. Placed them all around, thought he had done the right thing. It was finished. Then Prabhupada says, fire sacrifice, there is no fruit. We must have fruit. You know, we offer banana into the fire sacrifice. So the temple president again ran into the kitchen, peeled some bananas, sliced them up very nicely, made a fruit tray, and came back out. And Prabhupada says, no, not slice, whole fruit. Now Prabhupada's starting to get a little agitated. For some reason he thought that we would just know what to do. The devotees would know what to do. Come on, this isn't the first time we've done this. It's maybe the first time you've done it. So he was getting a little agitated. So the devotee came back with whole bananas for the fire sacrifice. Now sitting very near Srila Prabhupada was what we call a hippie. A long-haired guy who loved the vegetarian feast, came every Sunday, had a japa bag that he just would put on his hand or carry put around his neck, but he never chanted. But he loved being around the devotees, he loved prasadam. And he was sitting there observing and seeing that Prabhupada was getting a little agitated by the devotees' lack of preparation for this fire sacrifice. And he'd been preached to, because he came every Sunday, so the devotees would always preach to him. Whatever your problem is, chant Hare Krishna. You're in anxiety, chant Hare Krishna. You got bad habits, chant Hare Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna. He heard it over and over again. So when he's observing Srila Prabhupada getting agitated, he turned to Srila Prabhupada and said, chant Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada just bent over and picked up his big bag and chanted Hare Krishna. That's humility. Jagadguru, savior of the whole world, getting instructions from a hippie. But they were good instructions, so he took it. So that's how Srila Prabhupada would teach us. We have no right to be thinking, like I mentioned yesterday, that we're the VIP. We need to become humble. And that's how we can chant Hare Krishna constantly. That's how we can remember Krishna constantly. That's how we can remember Krishna constantly, is that we need to become humble. Now, humility is not an easy thing to get to. It's not at all. And it usually is our biggest downfall. So, how to become humble? Well, chanting Hare Krishna is really the way. Now, if you feel that 16 rounds and a little kirtan is enough, chanting Hare Krishna, it's not. Because that doesn't cover your whole day, does it? Can you chant while you're cooking? Yes, why not? Can you chant while you're walking? Yes, why not? I was coming into the temple this morning and I passed a couple of walkers. You could see they were like doing this a lot because they were walking quite, briskly down the road. And I'm thinking, that's nice, but what's missing? We're not chanting Hare Krishna. So all we have to do is add Krishna in some way or another to everything we do. And then we become Krishna conscious. So if you're cooking, cooking's nice. Chant Hare Krishna. You're walking. Walking's good. Chant Hare Krishna. And that is such a simple thing to do. Now, in your association with devotees, you're walking around chanting Hare Krishna, nobody bothers to notice. You don't even notice, right? Because we're used to hearing Hare Krishna. You're walking down the main street of Mangalore, all by yourself, going, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. People are going to go, ooh, okay. They're going to think you're a little bit weird. But the mantra is purifying you and purifying others. In the very early days, the devotees used to do Harinam Sankirtan quite a bit. It actually was the main activity. And so many people were becoming attracted and becoming devotees simply through Harinam Sankirtan. They used to go out in a van, do Harinam, and people would come back. And a lot of times they would join up and become devotees simply by going on this Harinam, by hearing the chanting. They used to go in San Francisco outside of this store where the gentleman had a corner spot and he used to put things out in the front and people would all walk by and go into his store because it was in a busy intersection. That being said, it was the best spot for Harinam because it was a busy intersection. Lots of people. So the devotees used to form lines outside of his store. He didn't like that. He felt it was stopping his business. People were coming in because you're out there chanting. So he would come out and he'd say, I want you guys to leave, get out of here, you're ruining my business. And then the devotees, of course, would just go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and just keep chanting. So he would call the police. The police would come and say, you guys have to move. They would say, okay. Start to walk away. The police would leave. Right back. He'd call the police again. This time, when they were asked to leave, they left. They walked around the block and came back again. This time, when the police asked them to leave, they actually left. 3 times in total. And the guy probably 2 times. So 5 times they were told, and finally they left. But that was the devotees in the early days. We were kind of felt like we were above the law, and we would just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna will protect us. And it's kind of true. So this went on every Saturday for a month. The same thing happened every Saturday for a month. come, they chant, they totally, and then finally they left. 1 month. The next Saturday, the 5th Saturday, the devotee showed up outside this guy's store, and he came out with a tray full of cups of juice. Now, the leader of the Sankirtan, Prabhu, told the devotee, "Don't touch it, it might be poison." Because this guy didn't like us. He could have possibly done this. So the leader said to him, "Well, you've been kicking us out. We had a kind of a rough relationship for 4 weeks. We're back again. Obviously, you're probably agitated or angry. Why are you bringing us cups of fruit juice?" He says, "You know what? Yeah, I've been really agitated. I think you guys are wrecking my business. Well, I thought you were, but I actually found out my business got better because you guys are out here. And you know what? Every single weekend, I would go home. I'm cooking my dinner. I'm trying to relax, watch some television. And all I have running through my head is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. I'm going to sleep, and I'm dreaming of you guys chanting Hare Krishna. I can't get it out of my mind." So I thought I'd bring you some juice. And I want to thank you for coming here because my business has increased since you've been here. So that is the potency. Sometimes as devotees we don't quite realize just how potent it is, but it takes somebody from the outside commenting, somebody who has no desire to chant, somebody who has the brick wall up that, don't get past this wall with that mantra. I don't want it in my ears. I don't want anything to do with it. Next thing you know, I'm chanting it myself. So that is the potency of the mantra. But we don't even realize it as devotees. How do you realize it a little bit, right? That's why we do it. But do we really realize just how potent it really is? I don't think we do. But sometimes hearing a story like that will help you refresh your memory. This Maha mantra is so powerful. It's such a close connection with the Supreme. And that's really what we are looking for in this world. So our strength, our protection, our defense against being an illusion is by simply chanting this Hare Krishna mantra, by trying to associate with Krishna to the best of our ability. So let me stop there. Thank you so much. A couple people were wanting to ask me questions during my japa, which I said no. I'll tell you a quick story about that. I was in Alachua, Florida in the temple, and I had just moved to Alachua. And I was bereft of any service, and I was in anxiety. I'm thinking, I still got some energy. I want to do something. I don't want to be a retired guy. I want to do something. And at that particular day, Radhanath Swami was there. My god brother, Radhanath Swami. And he was chanting his japa. It was right before reading the Gita. So I said, "Maharaj, can I interrupt your japa?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, too bad, I'm going to do it anyway." So I started talking to him and asked him some questions, and he gave me great answers. Because I knew he would. Something told me he would be able to alleviate my problems. So, generally speaking, we don't like to be bothered while we're chanting our japa. But there are special situations, and that was one of them in my mind. So I'm going to ask if there's anybody who wants to discuss anything. You're not going to get the opportunity with me again for a while. So, anybody? There's a gentleman there who asked me to speak to me. I forget who it was. Anybody? Yeah. Is there a wireless? Not a wireless. So here's what we're going to do. I just want you to say how many rounds you chant. There's the wireless one there. Before you say anything, just tell me how many rounds you chant. Rounds. No. How many rounds do you chant? 8. Okay, good. Yeah.
So this happened to one of my friends who has repeatedly found this guy a couple of times. So when he stood in front of the other DP, he said that his heart melts into, I mean, it just melts, and he feels that he's not going to leave the temple and be there forever. Couple of times he has said that, and when he looked into the eyes of the Mother, I mean, one type of attraction which he seemed totally absorbed. I don't know, he asked me that why is that so?
Why is that so? Okay. I'll tell you, one time in London, somebody asked Srila Prabhupada a question. Now Prabhupada would answer this question in so many different ways. He never gave the same answer twice. So this person stood up, let's just say he stood up right here. And Prabhupada was back there. And he said, "Can you see God?" And Prabhupada says, "I could if you would sit down." So, God has actually come in the form of His deity. Now that's a hard one to grasp. For somebody like me from the West, it was difficult. But when you can actually appreciate that Krishna is being so kind, He's appearing in a form that we can relate to, that we can see, made of marble, wood, stone, whatever, but we can see. Otherwise, who can see God? You need the eyes cleansed to see God. So, one day, I want to look at the deities, and I want them to smile and wave back. Because I said, look, I'm here again, another day. By Prabhupada's mercy, I'm here. So, Krishna is actually there in His forms. But they must be the real form of Krishna. You can't just put a chair and say, okay, this is Krishna. There's Krishna's in everything, so this is Krishna. So the form has to be authorized. Prabhupada uses the example, when you want to mail a letter, right? You have to put it in the authorized mailbox. You can't just put it in any mailbox. So the same thing is the deity comes, Krishna comes in the deity form when we ask Him to come down and be in that form. So the deities in Mayapur are especially powerful. I know myself because there are a lot of times they'll say, I'll be like a day and I need to see somebody. And I'll say, like, I really need to see Namaste. I haven't seen him for like a month. I don't know where he is. I haven't seen him. I need to get in contact with him. I turn around and there he is. And that happens so many times. So when we are in front of the deities, we have to realize that this is God. So is this all? We have to realize that that is actually God. So that when we have some prayers, we should be offering prayers, not asking. You know, like, make me healthy, make me good. That seems to be the main thing for most pilgrims. They're coming to ask for something. Give me mercy, give me blessings, all these kind of things. We should just be saying, thank you, Krishna. Thank you for allowing me to see your form. Thank you for allowing me just to be here. That's what we should be discussing. But yes, the deity is for real. And there are so many people who have these realizations simply by standing in front of the deity. Wow, I feel different. I feel something. Because Krishna is there. And the more you allow that to happen, the more it will. You're going to have to speak into it or something. I think the volume's gone. I can't really hear it.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, again the question is associated to the deity of Mayapur. So So sometime later I read Brahma Samhita, where the description of the deity has been mentioned there. I'm not able to recall those slokas, but when I read those slokas, what I felt is that the slokas has described exactly the way Maya deity has been made. Is there any correction when people was there any thought on this, or it was I just wanted to know the history behind it.
I'm not quite asking your question, sorry. Does anybody else want to answer that? I can't answer that. Are there any questions about what I've been talking about? Let's go with that. Maybe you can talk to me afterwards. Okay.
Thanks for what so we have started 1960 now from last 4 or 5 months. And my question is that the 4 regulatory principles, yes, I can try to adjust that I register.
Stop a little slower, sorry. Slower. Yeah.
The 4 regulatory principles. So 16 rounds and 4 regulatory principles that I try. But probably the challenge I face is mostly on getting 100% of the time prasadam.
Like getting prasadam 100% of the time.
Yeah, when I go to work for work, like some kind of social interaction. And I would say, like make up some excuse, okay, I'm a little bit coming down, so I make up some excuse. But 100% of the time, I cannot.
Right. But you know, Krishna is very merciful. Example, and Prabhupada used to, in the early 70s, he would visit people's houses here in India. We would be invited, he would have, a couple times they actually served onions in the prasad, and the devotees were freaking out. Like, Prabhupada, there's onions, we can't eat this. And Prabhupada says, no, we must respect. Krishna understands. So same thing, while you're following your regular principles and chanting 16 rounds, if there a situation arises where you have to eat out, like we are not so hard and fast that if you're in a situation where you have to eat something that's cooked by somebody else, then you have to eat. Devotees were asked to go to, I believe it was Poland, to preach. And the devotee said to Prabhupada, I don't want to go, Prabhupada, there's nothing to eat. All they eat is meat. And Prabhupada says, then you eat meat, but you preach. So to carry on the Krishna consciousness, we have to do the needful. Now, I'm not saying go out and eat meat. Obviously, you should get other things. But the point that's being made is that we have to just keep going with our Krishna consciousness and do the best we can. So, I mean, you can always take something and say, you know, Hare Krishna, thank you, Krishna, for allowing me to eat something so I don't starve, so I can keep going. But, I mean, that's basically the way to go. I remember, and this just came to mind, when I first joined the movement, we weren't allowed to eat anything outside of the temple. So when we went out on Sankirtan, we would bring like a bag of nuts and raisins, and it was always so hungry. Hungry. And I grew up in Philadelphia. And in Philadelphia, they sell these things called soft pretzels. And I grew up eating these things. I don't know if you know what a pretzel is, but they used to be very doughy with salt, and they put mustard on it, and they're hot, and they bake them, and it smelled great. And I was thinking, oh my God, I want one of those pretzels. Oh, what's wrong with me? I'm so lusty. I want one of these pretzels. But it was ingrained in me to eat these things. I did it my whole life. I wanted one of those pretzels. And then I thought, I'm going to have to leave Krishna consciousness because I want one of those pretzels. And the senior devotee said, go eat a pretzel and get back to your book distribution. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can do that. Nothing really bad about it. So you have to compromise sometimes for preaching, for being a devotee. And that's what you have to do. You must compromise a little bit. You would like to never eat anything cooked by a non-devotee. You would like that. If that's possible, that is what you will do. But if it's not possible, and the option is to be hungry and not be effective, you have to be smart about it. Prabhupada was very big on that. So you have to learn what rules to bend and what rules you can't break.
You said you retired at 60 out your profession, you said something.
I think that's what it said.
You retired at 60, you have all profession.
Maybe it's the speakers or maybe it's my hearing go. I'm not quite grasping what you're saying. Sorry.
Okay, we are all grastas. Okay, they say that we have to become full-time Krishna conscious. So, when to become full-time? We are doing profession outside we do profession and we are engaged in material duties. So, when to full-time leave that? When to
You're gonna have this. Can you guys hear what he's saying? Is it just me? It must be just me. Sorry.
Hare Krishna.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I couldn't get that. Speakers.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
His question is this, that many businessmen have a profession apart from doing so.
Right.
So should they think about becoming a full-time businessman? If yes, when?
Oh, okay. Good question. That's your situation right now? Is that a yes? That's your situation right now? Yeah. I'm so old. But I wanted to tell you a story. It's relevant to me. It's probably not going to be relevant to you. Back in the 70s, there was a group called the Beatles. And you probably don't even know the Beatles, but if you were in around in the 70s, we all know the Beatles. They were a super group. Famous, changed the world, the way we saw things, amazing. One of the members of this group called the Beatles, his name was George Harrison. He actually gave Prabhupada the donation that paid for Krishna book to be printed. And George Harrison wrote a lot of songs. He actually sang Hare Krishna in one song that was all around the world, called My Sweet Lord. And he chanted Hare Krishna. He wanted to chant Hare Krishna more, but his producers said, you gotta say Krishna names too. Otherwise, people would freak me out. But he did include Hare Krishna. Now, he wanted to become a full-time devotee, disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He asked Srila Prabhupada, I want to be your disciple. Should I shave my head and move in the temple? And Prabhupada said, no, you are doing more service. What you are doing, and you are more than my disciple. So he advised him not to become a full-time devotee because what he was doing was so important. Now, if you're going to be householder, you have to have money. There's no begging on the streets for a householder. You can't be relying on somebody else to support you and your wife and children that you have. So it is very important that you do have a business or an occupation that will pay you. It's very important. That's household life. You have to support, you have to look after your wife, you have to look after your children, you have to supply certain things, so you have to work. But the key is remembering Krishna. Now when we say to householders who are about to get married, whenever I'm asked to speak at a wedding, I always say, make sure you keep Krishna in the center. That's very important. How to keep Krishna in the center. If both of your lives are simply based on going back to Godhead, you will always have Krishna in the center. If both of your lives are simply put together for sense gratification, Krishna in the center is the last thing you want, because he gets in the way of all that material enjoyment. But if going back to Godhead and having eternal happiness is your goal, and you want a partner to do it with, it's actually Prabhupada said it's twice as good. I don't know about that, but that's what he said. But if you have a Krishna conscious partner, that partner can help you become a better devotee. But yes, you have to work. That was the question.
And his question and his question is that in a temple there are two kinds of grihasthas. Some are full-time grihasthas, they are maintained by the temple.
Maintained by the temple.
There are also grihasthas who work outside, they earn, and they also come to temples.
Yeah.
So the student grihasthas also like join full-time and be part of the temple, like Brahmachari, and they are taking care of the temple, or what have you experienced, whether the grihasthas continue working, or if they join, what time they can actually work for them.
But the actual grihasthas that are full-time devotees supported by the temple is not Prabhupada's plan. Prabhupada says you must go out and earn money, and the temple is not here to support you. That being said, there are exceptions to the rules, but that was not Prabhupada's idea. He encouraged his householders to earn a living, to be independent. And then if you earn a very good living, you're supposed to be giving 50% to the temple. Now, again, that's very difficult. But if you have a lot of money, you can certainly give a lot of money. And maybe not 50%, but you can, that's your service, is supporting the temple. It doesn't have to be that your service is, living in a temple as a grihastha and just cleaning the floors and getting some small, payment for medical or whatever, and prashadam. So better as a householder not to be dependent on the temple. Better to be dependent on your abilities. Make some money, come to the temple, do what you can. I know in Alachua, Florida, there's a businessman who's very, very wealthy. And his seva is to come to the temple, room floor, sweep it and wash it every Saturday. And that's what he does. And he also gives a lot of money to support preaching. But he wanted to do some seva because we grew up in Krishna consciousness doing seva is the most important thing. So he comes and washes the floor. And when people who know who he is see him, they're like mind blown. This guy is like a millionaire. And he owns a couple houses and fancy cars, the whole 9 yards. And here he is sweeping the temple room floor, and he gets down and he washes it with his hands. Gets down on the ground and washes it. Well dressed, sharp guy, super intelligent. He's happy as anything doing that seva. But yeah, I would say better, unless Namanista says differently. If he's the boss. If he says, no, I like you to live here. So really, that's who you should speak to if you're in this community. But other than that, Prabhupada did say he wanted his householders earning money for themselves and not being dependent on the temple. But of course, check with Namanista. He's your Shiksha Guru here. So follow his instructions. You can't go wrong. Anybody else? This is good. Can you, yeah. Remember, I'm probably not going to understand this.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, may I clarify that what is preferable?
So I was reading Gita or chanting in early morning. What is preferable? Reading a Gita or chanting a Japamana?
You can mix it up. That's your call. That's again, that's a personal thing. I know a lot of devotees that chant some rounds and they read and chant and read and chant and read. Personally for me, when I get going, it's like, the engine's running, I'm in hearing the holy name mode. I don't want to stop till I finish my rounds. That's how I feel. That's a personal decision. But I do know a lot of devotees that enjoy reading. Some get up first thing in the morning and they start reading. Me personally, I chant shlokas when I first wake up. That's easy for me to do while you're getting ready, preparing, on the way to the temple, whatever. That's fine. But for me, it's like, starting the engine in the car and I want to go. I just want to chant. And I find that by the time I get to 16, it's like I'm ready. Whereas you may start out like, well, by the end, because you're so absorbed, and 16 rounds should really have you in great consciousness. So to me, that's the key. By the end of my 16 rounds, I'm thinking, okay, world, what do you got for me? Maya, bring it. I'm ready. And I actually feel like that every day. And because I feel like that, every night I'm psyching myself up for the next morning's japa. It's like putting on your boxing gloves. Maya's going to come at you. She's going to put some weird thoughts or weird ideas. I'm putting my gloves on. I'm ready. Come on, bring it. And every morning, that japa is tying my gloves. Yeah? What are you going to throw at me today? I'm ready. I did my 16 rounds. I've got my foundation. I'm ready. Whatever Maya's going to throw at me today, I'm ready. So I like chanting. Like you do. I see what you're chanting. You're absorbed. There's like nothing else in the world going on. You're just absorbed in chanting. It was actually inspirational to me when I was watching him. I'm thinking, he's got it. He's in there. He's in the zone. You're in the japa zone. And that's a nice place to be. The japa zone. Like nothing is bothering me. I'm just chanting Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Okay, now it's my turn. Who here is from Mangalore? Besides Mr. Who here is from Mangalore? There's like 5 people, 6 people. So I'm going to put a challenge out to Mr. and everybody else. I'm going to put this challenge out. The next time, if I get the opportunity to be in Mangalore, we got to at least double the number of Mangalore devotees. At least double it. Prabhupada always used to say that when we hear the stories, let's double it. So we want to double it. It's like when Mayapur started. Srila Prabhupada was standing with Janani Vas and another devotee on top of the Lotus building. And that was the only building there. The gate was there. And inside the gate came a couple of guests. 2 guests to Sridham Mayapur. And Prabhupada got so excited. He says, Janani Vas, go down, greet them, give them prashadam. We have guests. 2 people came to Sridham Mayapur. And that was back in 1971. 2023, 20,000 people come every single day. Forget Gauraparni. I can't even imagine how many people come from Gauraparni for Janmashtami, for Jayapataka Swami's Vyasa Pujas, for so many. Like it seems like in Mayapur, every day is a special holiday. Like today is Kannada Pandit's appearance. Oh, we're gonna have a anyone shows up. So 20,000 people is like a Wednesday when there's no festival. 20,000 people. So right now we have 5 people from Mangalore. Double it now, mister. Minimum. I mean, if you're satisfied with that, okay. I'm just throwing something out there. But that's not just his idea to double it that I'm giving. It's for every single one of those Mangalore devotees. You are here to preach. This center is yours. It's not just, oh, this is all not Mishra's idea. Maybe his idea, but you are the people that are going to make it work. We are all responsible for preaching. It's not that it's just, oh, the guy in charge, he does out his thing and I just kind of show up. No. When we're outside of this friendly compound, we should all be glorifying this ISKCON temple that's being built. We should be inviting people. You should be preaching. That is who we are. We are not budget and undies. We don't just all gather, stay together and chant. That's it. That's all we do. And then we separate and it's over. No, we gather together, we chant, and then we take our spiritual energy and we go out and preach. It's not just, oh, I'm the preacher. Oh, Nandista is the preacher. You're the preachers. You're all preachers. You take it as your responsibility. I told him to double it. I'm telling each one of you 5 people from Mangalore, double it. You make 5 devotees. Don't just think it's somebody else's responsibility. You invite people to come to the temple. You be friendly when people come. That's so very important. I've been in temples, in America especially, where people come to the Sunday feast and nobody talks to them. That's insane. They've taken the opportunity to come, to take prasadam, to see the deities, and to associate with devotees, but we're too busy doing our own thing. That's wrong. It's very important when somebody shows a little bit just a little bit of interest, we have to nurture that. That's so very important. It doesn't take a whole lot. It's simply a little communication. Oh, where are you from? Oh, you're from, oh, that's great. Have you been, this is your first time? Wow, would you like me to show you around? So many different things. Have you had any prasadam? You know Prabhupada stressed that, right? Very important. Prasadam. Very important. I'll tell you one thing. When the devotees first started coming to Prabhupada's lectures in New York City, Prabhupada would cook the whole meal. Prabhupada would serve the whole meal. Prabhupada would collect all the garbage. Prabhupada would clean all the pots, all by himself. The devotees just sat down and let Prabhupada serve them. So when Prabhupada was serving the prasadam, he'd come around with the rice and put a big scoop on the plate, big scoop of sabji, couple of chapatis. Then he'd come back and he'd offer more rice, more sabji, more chapatis, and then he'd come back again. And they'd be like, oh, Swamiji, I've had enough. And now, in Bengal, unless you actually go cover your plate like that, the Bengalis will find a way to slip something between your arms. I don't know how it works here, but in Bengal, you can't just go like this. You gotta go. So they didn't do that. They just went like this. Oh, Swami, I've had enough. And Prabhupada said, have some more. There's another thing of rice. The chapatis would come around. Oh, no, Swami, I've already had 6. Have some more. Couple more chapatis. And they were eating till they were ready to explode. And Prabhupada did that every day. Then one day, Prabhupada gave him seconds and didn't come back again. And they were all like, Did we do something wrong? He's not serving us another, helping of rice and sabji and chapatis. And so one devotee said, Swamiji, usually you just keep coming and giving us more and more and more and more and more. What happened? And Prabhu says, now you are asking good questions. So in other words, Prabhupada was filling them with prasadam so that they would become purified and their brains would get a little less involved in all the material energy and a little more spiritual, and they started asking good questions. So Prabhupada, okay, now you can just eat what you need to eat. The prasadam has worked its magic. So Prabhupada made a very strong point of this, at every temple, when someone comes as a visitor, they must take prasadam. And I'll take it one step further and say, we must greet and talk to every single guest that we get. We must make them feel like this is the best place in the world for you to be. There's nowhere better, because the devotees, what do we say? Vachakapa, we have compassion for all fallen souls. And that's just not compassion for the fallen souls that are here, that's compassion for every fallen soul. And if we see everybody with compassion, we will say, Prabhu, sir, ma'am, you should try coming to our temple in Mangalore. You'll be amazed at how it makes you feel. So just think about that. Be a preacher. Everyone should be wearing a little badge saying your name, preacher. I'm a preacher in Lord Chaitanya's movement. What do you do? Oh, I'm a preacher in Lord Chaitanya's movement. That should be our response. When I say here, who are Sankirtan devotees here? You should say, we are all Sankirtan devotees. We are all in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. And our only goal is to preach and to bring others. I'm not going back to Godhead by myself. I'm bringing as many with me as I can. And that should be our focus. Preaching. Preaching gives you life. There is an example of an amazing preacher in our very midst, not right now, but Jayapataka Swami. His Holiness Jayapataka Swami. Does everybody know who he is? This is somebody who is in a body that is just practically, most people, 99.9% of the world would say, you know what, let me just leave me alone. Look at me. I got like nothing going on here. Jayapataka Swami doesn't stop preaching. That's his life. Heirs are being generated by preaching. He's amazing. Whenever I start to think, you know what, my knee is really hurting today, maybe I'll skip Harinam. Then I think, wait a minute. Jayapataka's in America now, traveling all around preaching, and here I'm complaining my knee hurts. Really? So yeah, he set the bar too high for us to follow. It's so difficult. But we have to endeavor, like Jayapataka Swami, to simply preach. All you want to do is preach. All you want to do is save one soul. One soul. And you feel like your life will be complete. That's a very challenging thing to think, but you can do it. Bring one person to Krishna consciousness. And then when you've done that, bring two, bring two, bring two. Like not this is bringing at least 5. There's the challenge. I think you can do way more than that personally. So let's keep that in mind. You're a preacher. So preach. Let's grow this Mangalore temple. Who here is from Bangalore? Bangalore. Now why are you here in Mangalore if you're from Bangalore? Answer, somebody. Why? Oh, so you feel some affection for like this Prabhu here? He's kind of guided you and brought you in? Really? Now, what would you think would be the way to return that favor? Oh, so you want to kind of do what he did. Like he brought all of you, then he's trying to encourage you to bring as many people yourself. And that way the movement will grow and grow. And oh, that seems to make sense. Yeah, I like that idea. So the original teacher of this Gita Course now teaches other teachers who are teaching other teachers, and they're just expanding it. What a great idea. I love that idea. You know how Prabhupada did it? The same way. He empowered disciples who are really not qualified. Like, you got people who are giving classes that really probably aren't 100% qualified, but yet somehow or other they feel they are. Prabhupada did that with his disciples. He had guys doing all kinds of things that really they weren't materially qualified to do, but they were empowered because they wanted to please Prabhupada. So we want to give back to those that are helping us. Srila Prabhupada has given us this opportunity. And now here in Mangalore, Namvista is giving you this opportunity. Whether you're from Mangalore, Bangalore, or whatever lore, it doesn't matter. We need to just keep spreading and spreading and spreading. But Prabhupada says this Krishna consciousness is like a virus. It's spreading all around the world. But it's a good virus. It's not like those other nasty ones. This is a good virus. And when you're infected with it, it feels good. It actually makes you feel happy, healthy, and vibrant. So that's a good thing. But I'm glad to hear that you're going to be making some devotees as well. Because you know what you know is more than what almost everybody else outside of this building knows. So don't feel like, oh, I need to get to this level before I become a preacher. No, you're a preacher now. You know more than 95% of the rest of the world. So preach. Preach what you know. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. This is where I football for my football. Oh my. Is there a mic? Is that missing? Oh, yeah.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. My obedience to you, as well as my Prabhu. He brought me into this pulpit in 2020. I still crying that I have not done it before, despite being Prabhupada as a student of Prabhu. But at the same time, now I am fully into it. I am giving books to many of the devotees I try to get them. Even I gave them done books, even one devotee has brought with me, and I try to do as best as I can to continue with it.
Yes. You're never too old, you're never too young. We are all preachers. How old? 70 something? So you can see that you still have the fire burning inside. It hasn't left. It's actually getting stronger and stronger. As we become purer, our fire gets stronger. And naturally, when we feel this fire, we want to share this with others. Because this Christian consciousness is such an amazing, amazing feeling. Knowing who God is a big deal. Most of the world either says there isn't a God, or we have no clue who He is. In Christian consciousness, we know who He is. And we know what He wants. And all He wants is our love. It's so simple. And we develop that love through the devotional service and through chanting His names. And that is such a simple, easy process that anybody can do. Whether you're old, young, in the middle, just starting, or you've been doing it for 50 years. It's an enjoyable experience, knowing God and knowing there is a way to get back to being with Him. It's very blissful. But thank you for that. Very nice. Okay? We can wrap it up. One more. This will be this all along. It's kind of fun.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Prabhu, when we try to take class or some time Daiva, when we chant any slope, it is my emotion that tears comes out. But I have instruction that it should not be because that hinders the preaching. So how to control those emotions? Any slope when I pronounce, tears comes out.
Wow. And that's a bad thing?
So how to control?
I'm serious. Is that a bad thing? Did you feel emotional?
So that hinders the proper preaching.
Well, I mean, okay. I'm just sort of going with this. Sometimes during Guru Puja, I get very emotional as well. Because I'm thinking, if I think too much about what Prabhupada has done for me, it makes me feel emotional. I listen to stories, Prabhupada memories, and most of the time they make me emotional. When I hear my godbrothers and godsisters describe the interaction they had with Srila Prabhupada, it makes me emotional. But I'll tell you one story. When I first joined the temple, the next day I was in the temple, I was out on book distribution. I hadn't read any of the small books, I had just read Bhagavad Gita. But yet I was out on book distribution with a bag full of these small books. And every single time I pulled one of the books out of the bag, I looked at it and I was emotional. I was like, wow, look at this. And I turn the page and look at the pictures and I go, whoa, do you believe this? Have you ever seen anything like this in your whole life? And I was so fired up and emotional. The emotions were pouring out of me because every time I pulled a book out of the bag, it was something I'd never seen before. And I was so excited to be able to experience this Krishna consciousness like this. And every single person I approached, they all were like, wow, I mean, this guy's like really excited. He's really getting so, emotional about the whole thing. Maybe I should get one of these books. So your emotions can be used in a good way. Because people see you genuinely are feeling something, they're like, wow, this is moving him in some special way. I would like that too. Because we all want to be emotional. We all want to feel. And this love that is inside, that we are slowly unlocking the doors to by chanting Hare Krishna. I mean, you can't control what's coming out. Your feelings towards Krishna, towards the other devotees, for hearing Bhagavad Gita, you can't control that. So I, for one, would be really pleased to be feeling this emotional. I have a godbrother. He just put out a Prabhupada memory tape, or he's on a Prabhupada memory tape. His name is Kirti Raj Das. He told probably 20 different stories on this one DVD that just came out. And at the end of every single story, he cried. Every single story. He's such an emotional person. He had a lot of association with Prabhupada. Every single story. And of course, I'm listening to him because I know him and I'm crying with him. It's just, when we have love, we feel really love, it makes us emotional. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's being alive. It's being who you are, a spirit soul, in love with God, in love with His people, His other spirit souls. We're together, it's a bond, so nothing wrong with it. One other one. I have a friend, Mangalore, who's a singer, and he created this album in 1972 called Change of Heart. and it was rock and roll songs. And the devotees that were against him were saying that this is Maya, it's rock and roll, you're just, redoing your rock star thing. And one time, Srila Prabhupada was coming into the studio where they recorded it, Golden Avatar Studios in Los Angeles. And he stopped where they were playing back one of the songs. And Prabhupada stopped and started tapping his cane to it. And he was going, oh, this is very good. This is better than George Harrison. Well, if you knew who George Harrison was, you'd get that. But back then, that was like the top. And he said, oh, this is better than George Harrison. And then he tells this story. And this is on the memory tape. He says, I said to Srila Prabhupada, would you like to hear more of these songs? And Srila Prabhupada was scheduled to leave and go somewhere else, but he said yes. Now when Mangalananda tells this story on the memories tape, he starts crying because he says, Prabhupada was really busy. I simply asked him if he wanted to hear my music and he said yes, and he came back and he listened. And he starts crying like this, and then he says to the guy with the camera, you're going to edit this out, aren't you? And of course they didn't. They left it in. And here's Mangalananda. He's a big tough guy, singer, really sweet. But he's crying like a baby, just remembering this one exchange he had with Srila Prabhupada. And that's what Prabhupada did. He brought this love that we have inside, he brought it out. We didn't know what to do with it. Just like you don't know what to do with it. Do I love my wife? Do I love my husband? Do I love my children? There's always something that's not quite right about all those combinations. But the love of the spiritual master, the love for Krishna, that's the real deal. And that's what we're just trying to get to. And hopefully we use all these other practices of love to get to the real love. And that's the love for Krishna. But that's what husband, wife, children, that's what it's all about. It's teaching us this is how to love. But the real love is for Krishna. So feeling love and emotion, not bad. Not a bad thing at all. Okay, I think we can end now. Thank you so much. All of you wonderful assembled Vaishnavas, I owe so much to you. I've had the best time being here in Mangalore. I got to lead all the kirtans, I got to, give the classes, so it's been wonderful. But it's been really fun. Even just making eye contact, it's an exchange. It's an exchange. And hopefully I see every single one of you again. If you come to Mayapur and you happen to walk past the GOVP office between 4:30 and 7, every night on Tuesday, you can see me, you can walk up and go, remember me? I was in Mangalore. And of course I'll go, yeah, sure. A whole sea of faces, I remember you. But I probably will, because right now I'm taking photos. I'm putting it in my memory bank of every face that's here. I remember, okay. So somebody came up to me yesterday, a young girl, maybe 15 years old. She goes, do you remember me from Mayapur? I said, that was like 4 years ago. You were like this big, now you're this big. You expect me to? I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't remember. And I could see she was hurt. I was like, oh, you don't know, I go to so many different places, I meet so many different people. You don't remember me? But hopefully you remember me, because I was the one behind the microphone. Okay. Hare Krishna. I'm not going to say it loud, I'm just going to do it the one time. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki. And we owe so much to Srila Prabhupada. Not just his disciples, but the disciples of his disciples and those not even taking initiation yet. The fact that you are here is simply by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Let's always remember that. Never forget that. It is only through the mercy of the pure devotee that somehow or other we have become a little bit attracted to Krishna. So we want to thank him with all our heart. And I want to thank all of you for attending this program and making it very, very successful. And hopefully we get together again sometime soon, because I will miss your association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Jivnath, Prabhu, for being wonderful class and question and answer. Now I want to cover some meaning. Hare Krishna. So I will cover some 4 names who have given a sponsor for Prasada. Abhay Kumar Singh, Pushkar Shekhar, Suman Agarwal, and Prabhu Dubey. They have sponsored for Prasada. So kindly we will chant together Hare Krishna mantra 3 times for them and for their family. So Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Moral. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, these 4 people. And anybody who wants to sponsor the Prasada, you can contact Gaurav Prabhu. Hare Krishna.